Boxing Lowdown, we're live here at the O2 Arena in Greenwich, where we've just seen Eubank-Degale lose a points decision to Chris Eubank Jr., a unanimous points decision. Chris Eubank Jr. taking it quite wide on two of the scorecards and pretty close on the other one. Going into this fight, like I said in my preview, it really depends on what Eubank-Degale showed up for me. That was my personal opinion. I thought that if Eubank-Degale was anywhere near his best, then he should be able to defeat Eubank Jr. on a points decision. But what we saw going into the fight pretty early was that Eubank-Degale was far from his best. You know, he looked like a shot fighter in there. After the first round, which I thought he did relatively well in, he pretty much lost his legs for me. I mean, he was jumping in, lunging in with punches and holding Chris Eubank Jr. at any opportunity he got. He was put down on the floor twice. He was very unsteady throughout the fight. It reminded me of Tony Bellew against David Haye. It had shades of that fight in it. It wasn't as decisive as that fight or the first fight, but just the way how it was panning out for me, the way how Eubank-Degale was like just stumbling over so many times, it was similar to how David Haye was against Tony Bellew in the second fight. Listen, Eubank-Degale's had an incredible career, amateur and professional. I haven't caught the post-fight interviews yet, so he may have announced his retirement. I know he said that this was the retirement fight going in, and he's a very prideful man, Eubank-Degale, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's announced his retirement already. But what I would say is, you know, he looked to shell off the fighter that he has in previous fights, and he'll be the first to admit that. You know, he's a very stand-up front guy. So without taking too much away from Chris Eubank Jr., because I did see some impressive work in his performance, you know, he's got a new trainer now, and there's still some improvements to be made if he is going to make it up at that world-class level to avenge his defeat against the likes of Billy Joe Saunders, or take on the likes of a Triple G or Canelo or Callum Smith at super middleweight, whichever division he decides to stay in. Eubank Jr., he got 2 knockdowns against Eubank-Degale. He was forcing the action. He, when he could, he got his punches off. But I think that a lot of his work was smothered tonight, and he'll probably tell you that he could do better as well. So there's still improvements to be made on his side, and going into the fight, I mean, there was a lot of pressure on his shoulders. We have to remember that. The crowd was saying that, and the majority of boxing fans were saying that if Eubank Jr. lost, then he would have to hang it up. You know, he would never be the fighter that he thought he might be. He'd be the fraud sort of thing. So he had a lot going on his shoulders tonight, and he came out there and he performed. So fair play to Chris Eubank Jr. Where he goes next remains to be seen, but still improvements to be made. We'll see what happens next in his career. As for Eubank-Degale, in my personal opinion, you know, it's not really down to me to decide the fate of another boxer. Like, why would Eubank-Degale listen to somebody like me? But if it was down to me, and if I was his manager and I was to say what he should do next, I think he should hang them up. I mean, he's had a tremendous career, both amateur and professional. He's got nothing left to prove. He's a 2-time world champion. He's won a gold medal at the Olympic Games. He was the first gold medalist, first British gold medalist to win a world title as a professional. So, you know, those are things that are going to stand in history, and no one can take that away from him. Tonight, I just think he looked a shell of himself, and you know, I don't want to say too much of a shot fighter. He could have had a bad performance, but for me, I just think that the time's up now in his career, and I think that he should, you know, just bow out the game and, you know, just live the easy life now. I mean, there's a lot he can do. He can, whatever career he decides to go in boxing, I mean, he can do that. So he's got a lot of knowledge to pass on to the younger generations, and yeah, it's been an incredible career for him, but it remains to be seen what he does. Chris Eubank Jr., like I said, there's still improvements to be made, but a lot of positives for him coming out of this fight. And listen, we got some fans' opinions of the fight, which was very good. You know, a lot of them were split on the fight going in, and it was good to get their reaction of the fight after. So make sure you guys check those videos out on our channel. We'll be there, man, at all the other fights. I mean, we got a great reaction from the crowd today, and we're going to be out at more fights, getting more post-fight reactions like these. So make sure you guys subscribe to the Boxing Lowdown on YouTube. We're on Instagram, we're on Twitter. We're getting out there now. So thank you guys for listening. Drop your thoughts in the comment section below as to how you thought this fight went. What would you like to see next for both fighters? And I'll catch you guys on the next one.